Hey everyone, and welcome to our first official show. Welcome to the Cyber
Hello.
Comedian Radio Show.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, I swear I seen someone run past the back of you, like no shit, like a kid.
Yeah, it was
from
over.
White.
Hey, Governor, you know someone from Demons?
Shaman.
Yeah, you weren't saying things, and it wasn't a spirit. It was just Ava being
Jesus
spirited.
Christ, she
Hey?
moves so quick, man.
Yeah, I can see why you would think that, and it's understandable. So anyway, on today's show, we're going to talk about people doing burnouts and failing. No, we're going to talk about
or not doing burnouts.
yeah. What a
In this
fucking
case.
idiot, eh? What an absolute
I
moron.
know. It's all about attention.
Yeah.
Attention.
Yeah, well, let's talk about people who want attention. And
Because boy, do we come across a few of them.
yeah. No, maybe we shouldn't talk about them. Just bringing attention to the attention seekers. Okay, so just looking at a couple of my blogs.
Ouch. I was actually thinking about how Peppa Pig seems to be getting really picked on lately. Because wasn't it long ago that I think it was Muslim groups or something wanted to change Peppa Pig's image or something? They wanted her in a burqa or something, and
What the hell?
yeah, true
I thought you were gonna say they wanted to change it to a cow. Because they don't like pigs.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to eat pork or something.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness, that's
I
hilarious.
think might have to Google that one. You might have to Google it, but I know that because they did want to change Peppa Pig's image.
Okay, I'm going to Google it right now because Google never lies. Muslims changing Peppa Pig image.
It just seems to me that poor old Peppa Pig.
Oh. So according to
That's right.
yeah, it is true.
So
they reckon that they've actually got a Peppa
what was it
Pig.
actually
They've
about?
actually got a Peppa Pig alternative, interestingly. So they say that there needs to be alternatives to Peppa Pig because it's corrupting young children. Right. So in news.com.au, lifestyle, parenting, kids, controversial, blah, 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 they say that they've urged parents to embrace religious cartoons over the popular animated children's series Peppa Pig. They've got one called One for Kids. It's a company that produces children's shows with Islamic themes.
I thought it was something along those lines, yeah.
I'm just trying to get to the root of the issue here with Peppa Pig, what they're actually saying. It's like this story's just repeating itself. I'm reading the same line over and over. It's deja vu every time you get to a new paragraph.
I just don't see why they're picking on poor old Peppa Pig.
I don't know what the problem is with Peppa Pig. They're saying children will learn everything from how to have good manners to how to get actively involved with community projects. Well, what's that got to do with Peppa Pig? And they're referring to it as rubbish on television shows. He said, just don't really teach children the best things that they need to learn. Yeah, but you know what? Kids are allowed to be kids too, and kids are allowed to have fun. Why does it have to be serious or have anything to learn? And I wouldn't say that Peppa Pig is not teaching children good things. I'm sure some. I mean, I don't particularly watch it myself. I know you do though, Chris. With the dog.
Thank you. My little secret's out there now.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Secret man.
Yeah, look, it's not really specifically saying why they have an issue with it, but I think it's rude to have an issue with it and not actually say why.
I know.
So,
I know.
the story certainly doesn't cover it. It just says that they're. Oh no, actually,
it was to do
that's talking about something else. I'm
religion.
not
I know
going to get
that.
into that. We're talking about homosexuals and adulterers and
That was
sorts of
naughty,
stuff.
wasn't it?
Yeah, sorry.
That was naughty. Didn't they go off about that show as well because it was apparently homosexual?
Oh, I don't know actually.
Naughty
Yeah,
and
probably.
weird.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. But anyway,
You know,
I
they
just
can take,
think that.
they take the most innocent kids programs and turn it into the most
Vile
bullshit
thing that's
lie.
not meant like that at all. And even if it was, at the end of the day, who are we to judge anyway? Do you know what I mean? Like, even if Noddy was a gay character, well, who cares? But anyway,
I mean, it was on TV for many years, you know.
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure I watched it as a kid, and I think I turned out all right.
Well,
They're showing some demons. Noddy did it. Noddy did it to me. All right, so that is the Peppa Pig story. Okay, so I'm just looking at my website, and I'm just looking at the blog mediums and what to expect from mediums when you go for a reading. So why don't we ask you what your experience is as someone who's been for a reading? Like, you know, how have you prepared yourself for a reading? Did you go in there completely blinded with no idea, or yeah?
Well, I have to say that the majority of the mediums that I've been to over the years, not one of them has been correct.
Yeah.
And I admittedly, whenever I went in to see a medium, I didn't have expectations.
Yep.
I was just going in there to see what they had to say, basically. But I can honestly say that not one of those mediums has been correct with anything they've said. Apparently, I was going to marry a famous football player and I'd be living in Adelaide.
Oh,
gee.
Yeah, I recall you.
What happened? Did I blink and miss it? I must have blinked and missed it.
Yeah.
Serious.
Yeah, you must have.
Yeah,
but well, that's the thing.
I think they were charlatans, I think is a good description for those.
Yeah, sadly, there's a lot of those around.
Yeah.
And that's why I like the International Psychic Association, and also the other one, which has just started, which is the International Psychic Medium and Healers Board, because the idea of those is to govern over and at least ensure to some degree that the people on their listings are legit. So that's why
they're genuine.
Really like. Yeah, exactly that. They're genuine. And I know that the IPA has a certain process, but the other one, which, you know, I basically own and am a board member on, is going to go beyond that with as far as, you know, proving whether they are accurate or not. So it's not just going to be stat decks from clients who need to provide identification, because at the end of the day, anybody can fill out a stat deck and it could be a complete lie. So, you know, I want to see
they can hold that, no problems at all.
Yeah, and I'd at least like to see, I think, realistically, is at least one receipt as well that's actually happened between them to prove that that person is a client. And then also we've got the testing and stuff that goes with that as well, to actually genuinely test the person's skill to make sure they are psychic. So that's something that's still a work in progress anyway, as you know, but it'll get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's one of the reasons why I really like those sorts of organisations. I'm
It's sort of it's not a guarantee as such, but it's I've forgotten my train of thought.
it's not guaranteed, but you know what you're going to say, but it almost ensures
But
it's a very good chance.
yeah,
It's your best chance of
yeah.
making sure you get some. Because the other thing is as well, I personally have never had the problem, but there are a lot of readers who sometimes can't read certain people, and
Oh God.
it's just one of
Yeah.
those things. It doesn't mean that they're a fraud necessarily. I'm speaking for other people on this and not for myself, because as you know, I don't have a problem reading anyone. There are people who, however, who will brick wall or might come to that person with bad intention. And in that case, you know, a reader might not be able to see past that, because at the end of the day, we're only human too. So, you know, I've got to think outside the box as well and be fair to everyone. But that's also why on the Psychic Medium and Healers board, people are going to be actually encouraged, and there is a process of making an appointment. They can have a free 5-minute phone call to make sure they like the reader and the reader likes them, because we're not always going to want. And as you know, there's been a couple of people. I've never really rejected many people in my lifetime to read for, but there has been a couple of people who I know were never going to be happy with anything I said to them, and they were going to intentionally cause me trouble. And those couple of people I've refused to read. And I want people on the board, those members, to be able to go, this person isn't for me, I don't feel right with it, I'm not going to book them in. And vice versa. People in the public can go, nah, I don't like her, I don't like her attitude. Because the thing is, you can be a really good reader as well, and this is what I want to test people on, is their customer service skill. You know, there's a whole nother spectrum. If you can't speak to people civilly and, you know, hold yourself well and do business properly, then you shouldn't be a reader. It's not just about being a reader. There's a whole other element there. So that's what our particular board is about anyways, about covering all those things. What were you going to say?
It's almost like to protect both the reader and also the client.
Yeah,
it works both ways. It's not just a one-way street as such.
No, exactly. It's not. I'm just checking our recording, by the way. Oh, that's weird. Because you know how I set it on a timer? It's still recording. All right. We're back. We're back in action. So, just carrying on about, shoving some demons. Just carrying on with... Poor idiots.
Well, it's the same with healers. I've heard a lot of stories, and also I think there was something on the news somewhere along the line about fake healers. You know, they're charging people hundreds and hundreds of dollars for, you know, for nothing. They're not being healed. They're charlatans, and they're just completely ripping these people off.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just scammers.
And, you know, and also the fake readers, fake healers, they give people like you and I a bad name.
Yeah, they do, unfortunately, It's just one of those things. And that's why you get a lot of people who are skeptic, because they've had a lot of bad experiences, or they know that someone who has, or they've just never seen anything that's wowed them or proven otherwise to them. So, yeah, you're quite right, and that's why I've created the board, and am using people who aren't professional readers as well to be members on that board, as well as some who are, or have been at least in the past. But, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of people who make it hard for us, which isn't good. And then, you know, you get a lot of these people who are giving this stuff out for free as well, and often those people are just practicing. The problem with that is they can really mess people's lives up and give out some really bad advice. And those that are giving it out for free, who are supposedly really good, are doing it often, I think, for ego. You know, look how
Yeah,
wonderful I am, everyone
definitely.
loves me, everyone wants me sort of stuff. They've probably got money or some other income, so it doesn't matter to them. And but also there's this double-edged, I know there's a lot of professional readers who are giving out free readings, but they're doing it knowing that more people will come in and pay for them, or that person, they only give them a certain amount of information, and if they want to know something else, they've got to come and pay for it, which, look, is fair enough. You've got to be reimbursed for your time. I charge for my time. But I'm always skeptical of anyone that's giving out freebies. There's some underlying issue. That it's either ego either ego or they're desperate in some way themselves.
Yeah.
I always
Exactly.
say pay for, and it's true. For a lot
That's
of
so
things.
true.
You know, you can go to Coles and buy a dollar tea towel, and it's going to fall apart within a couple of weeks.
That's it.
Yeah. So anyway, that's that. What other exciting things can we talk about?
We've covered Peppa Pig.
Covered the book.
Marilyn Manson.
Oh my God, what?
Been in my head ever since she mentioned him.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it's I just can't get him out of my head. Oh, you know who else I was thinking about this morning?
Yeah.
I hope I get the name right. Chris Holmes. He was guitarist of Wasp.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was thinking about him this morning. I was like,
Actually, I remember
ooh.
years ago you used to get into that band, didn't you?
Yeah,
I
love
don't think I
Wasp.
was ever really into them.
Yeah, oh man, Chris Holmes. Yeah, I thought he was a bit all right, that one. Don't mind me, I'm just running around after animals here.
Water. It's really good for you. I used to hate drinking water. I still don't like the plastic bottles.
Yeah.
I reckon they really need to go. The problem is they're convenient.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I don't know if it's not all water bottles, but I think it's the. Oh, my head is so bad today.
You have coffee. Oh my God, I need a coffee, but I don't have coffee anymore. I had a cup of tea yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yes, and it was so good. I didn't drink it all. I probably drank about 2/3, 3/4 of it. But it was really nice. I much prefer the cappuccino over just a normal cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I'm glad I've kicked that addiction, though.
Ooh. I've only got one bad vice now. I've stopped drinking alcohol. I've never done drugs. I don't hang out with bad men.
Good.
And I just smoke cigarettes, which is bad.
It's really bad for you. You know, it's so funny. You never used to smoke and I did. And
I know.
Started. What is with that? Life stress.
Happened? Life happened. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Never mind.
So, you know what? Oh, okay. So, yeah, what we were talking about before about mediums. So, I'm on my website and I do have a blog on there. It's called Psychic Medium Readings. And basically, it discusses what mediums are, what psychics are, and also me and my arms. I really need to stop saying them. It just explains a bit about myself, actually, that particular one. It's not the one I was thinking of. I'll just do a little search.
Because a lot of people don't realise the difference between psychic and medium.
And the other thing is, too, is there's a multi-facet with the medium thing. Some people think that they're a medium because they're talking to a spirit. It doesn't mean that they talk to all spirits, and it doesn't mean they talk to the dead either. So there's a little bit of confusion with that particular area. So, yeah, so I did a little blog about it. Yeah. So, yeah, we talk about what the differences are, and it's quite in-depth and lengthy, so it's probably no point me reading it all out and be there for the next half an hour. But, you know, it talks about predicting the future, you know, the past and all that sort of stuff as well. In that blog, I discuss with regards to skeptics, people who are feeling skeptic and stuff like that. And, you know, just talking about, you know, what to expect and how to better prepare for a reading as well, because some people, you know, take half the kitchen sink with them. Some people go in with nothing or very vague questions, which can sometimes work for them. But generally, you know, if you're dealing with a really good psychic medium such as myself, you're much better off just asking the question straight up and being really direct, and you're going to get very specific and to the point answers. Whereas if you're sort of like really vague about it, you really genuinely cannot expect much back. And look, it's all hit and miss, and sometimes you will get completely mind blown. But it's important to really not have any expectations. And, you know, every reader is different. Some readers will want to see items to be able to connect to loved ones, you know, photos, whatever. As you know, I don't need anything.
No, you don't.
Sometimes it's nice to see pictures, though, but it's not necessary. Certainly don't need dates of birth or any of this other nonsense. I'm always sceptical of anyone that asks for a date of birth. It's not necessarily unless you're looking at the astrology side of it.
Or for a specific reason that relates in the reading.
The other reason why I don't like dates of birth either, in say like a psychic reading, is because particularly if tarot cards are being used as well, you know, it's kind of like a bit of a cheat sheet essentially, because, you know, you could quickly start generalising on a star sign. Oh, you know, the guy's a little bit this, a little bit that, blah, blah, blah. So I don't like them. You know, as long as I get a first name, I like to have a first name. I have read people before without any name and just one simple, general, very vague question, but it's a lot of time and energy and effort to put in and unnecessary. But there are people, unfortunately, who like to test and see what you see and see what comes out. But it's kind of silly because you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot then, because if you want a specific answer and you're testing the reader, well, what's important to you isn't necessarily important to the spirit world, and it might also sort itself out. So, you know, a reader could sit down and not see anything that's troubling you, because tomorrow it's going to be fine. So it's always better just to be, you know, specific and straight to the point and ask what you want to ask and not trick or hope that, you know, and also the other thing is too, that was my theory as well, this is my theory, is if you don't ask your question and it's super, super important to you, just because the reader doesn't see it doesn't mean it's going to be fixed either or resolved or, so you're just better off being up front. But yeah, in the article, like in the blog, I talk about what to expect and what not to expect and what to look for, you know, in a legit reader and all that sort of stuff. So even if you're not coming to me, at least you can benefit from that blog through someone else.
Yeah, because I have to admit, when I went to get a reading done, this was years and years and years ago, I just waltzed in there. It was a psychic fair, actually. I just waltzed in there and I chose this particular reader, this bloke, because he had like a Hawaiian looking shirt on, but it had beer cans on it. And I thought, well, that's pretty funky. I like the look of him.
He looks cool. I'll just go to him. Was he good?
No, he's the one that predicted that I'd be married to a famous football player and I'll be living in Adelaide.
Okay, the shirt's got all then.
Oh my God. Maybe I've got a twin somewhere. I don't know. It certainly wasn't me.
No. Unless you marry a retired one later on in life. You're like, please no.
I'm just thinking of old men. Throw up in my mouth. No, but he was completely wrong. But that was the only reason why I chose him, was because of his shirt. It was really quite bright and flamboyant. But I didn't take photos or anything like that. I just sat down with him. That was it.
Yeah. Well, you can do that. Look, some people give me photos sometimes, but look, honestly, you don't really need them. But yeah, I think also in the article from memory, I'll just have a double look, but I think that I even talk about, you know, at the end of the day, no matter what a reader says anyway, you're basically liable for your own actions, regardless of whether they've suggested something or not. But look, when I read for someone anyway, as you know, yeah, it's all about free will, because a reader might tell you to do something, you do go do the complete opposite. Of course, their prediction's not going to turn out if you haven't taken the advice that come along with it. So discuss that, talk about if you can ask questions and speak to loved ones and all that sort of stuff, and explains a little bit about that. Because the other thing is, you know, in spirit world, you can't force a spirit to talk to you. If it's someone who hated you or is not coping with being on the other side, they might not talk. And although I've never had a problem with it, I have had periods where sometimes, you know, spirits don't come through clearly, or they get comfortable towards the end of the reading to speak as well. So everyone's different, just, you know, just like human beings are that are alive, we all have different personalities and stuff, and the person sometimes, as you may have known them on this side, isn't necessarily the same person on the other side either. It depends where they're at mentally and emotionally. So yeah, touch on all that.
It's funny you say that, because this morning, for a brief moment, I connected with a spirit of my ex, the spirit of my ex, and like, he hated my guts. But we actually spoke for it was only about 30 seconds, but it was him discussing with me the problems that I'm having now.
Yeah.
It was, I won't get into details.
But, tell me after.
It was sort of like confirmation for me that I'm not mad. It's a particular person causing me a lot of trouble, and it's not me. It's not me.
Yeah, well, he would be the right person to know in that particular instance as well.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, sorry, continue.
I was really, really surprised, because he passed away about 4 years ago.
Yep.
And, he just decided to come through this morning, so...
Yeah, it's taken him all that time.
Might be me as well, like I might not have been open.
No, well, you may not have been open, that's the thing to it, and you may, because you know, you think that he hated you, might have blocked it even more so. You wouldn't have expected that he would want to come through and talk to you.
Yeah, especially about that particular subject.
Yeah,
that we were discussing.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was really peculiar, but it was just nice to have that confirmation. Sort of put my mind at ease. So,
yeah, no, that's good. And sometimes that's all you need, is a little bit of confirmation to put your mind at ease. And that's often what a lot of clients are just looking for. They might just want a little bit of confirmation about something, or just to know that they're okay, and all that sort of stuff. But you know what I find really interesting too, and this is what I discuss in the article, is just because a medium reader might say something that doesn't sit with you, don't rule it out entirely at the time. Take some time to think about it, because sometimes it might get proven to be true later on, and especially if you go around digging around and asking other people and looking for things to confirm it. But also, there's also the chance that you might not ever find out either. But don't go jumping to conclusions and just go, oh no, they're wrong and blah blah blah. Give it some time first. But there's also a case of, you know, for example, someone who's passed away might admit that they were gay. You know, this is someone's father. You know, and that person may never find out that to be the truth, but the person on the other side might want them to know that. By the way, it didn't work out between me and your mum because I was gay. But no one in living life might even be aware of that, or anyone that is might not even be contactable. So you don't rule out and just assume that the psychic or, you know, psychic medium is wrong about something either. I mean, how many times have I had people doubt me with a lot of stuff, not just medium stuff, more psychic stuff than medium stuff, but And it always happens. And they'll
It
either
does.
jump to conclusions, even when you've specifically said 6 months' time, come a month or two, oh, no, she's wrong, it hasn't happened. It's like, well, no, you were told 6 months. But even when you're not given time frames, just wait it out and see, because some things can happen years later as well. So,
Exactly.
but anyway.
Yeah, because I know that those that have doubted you, they've actually come back in the time frame that you've given and actually said to you, oh, actually, you were right.
Yeah,
you were right.
Yeah, absolutely. So it does happen. But the problem is there is so many fake people out there, and there's also the element of sometimes people don't want to hear the truth and they can't handle the truth, so they'll just write it off, and that's okay too. That's everyone's right to, I suppose. But anyway, I think that we'll have to call it an end to the show for now.
Yep.
And we'll hear and speak to everyone again next week.
Will do. Bye. Bye.
Yeah.